Hello students, today we are going to talk on an important topic of antepartum hemorrhage, that is APH. The definition suggests what is APH, that is bleeding from or into the genital tract which is occurring any time after 28 weeks of gestation but before the birth of the baby. So in this, as we say, it is before the birth of the baby, so stage 1 and stage 2 of labor is also included in it. So any bleeding after 28 weeks till the delivery of the baby from the genital tract is labeled as antepartum hemorrhage. Now, causes of antepartum hemorrhage. In 70% of the cases, the bleeding is because of the placental causes. Placental 70%, of these 70%, 35% is because of placenta previa and 35% is because of abruptio placentae. 25% is because of unexplained lesions. We don't know the cause. 5% is because of extraplacental causes. So 70% is placental, 5% is extraplacental. So in this diagram you can see placental causes. If this is the these are the two placental causes, means placenta previa, in which the placenta is located in the lower uterine segment, and abruptio placenta, in which the placenta is located, it may be upper segment, lower segment. So location is normal, but there is premature separation of placenta. So ideally the placenta should separate after the delivery of the baby, that is in third stage. But if it is taking place prematurely before the delivery of the baby or any time during ongoing pregnancy, it is called as abruptio placentae. So these two are the placental causes, okay. But in 5% cases, it is the bleeding is because of some local cause. So local, there can be some polyp, there can be malignancy of the cervix. So there is growth if there is malignancy which bleeds. There can be varicose veins, that is dilated veins which may bleed accidentally, or it can be because of a local trauma to the cervix that there is bleeding, or vagina, or there can be a tear inside which is bleeding. Trauma can be because of coitus, because of any injury. So these are the causes. So you have to remember that major chunk, 70% of the causes of antepartum hemorrhage is because of placental bleeding, 35 placenta previa, 35 abruptio, then 5% are extraplacental causes which includes a local cervical lesion, 25% is because of unexplained unknown reasons. Now talking about placenta previa. The definition says that any placenta, if it is implanted partially or completely over the lower uterine segment. So in this case, normally the placenta, the implantation, it is taking place up in the fundal area, anteriorly or posterior. But if suppose the placenta is developing, or the development is taking place down, implantation is of the fertilized ovum has taken place not in the fundus but it is in the lower segment. So in that case there will be developing of the placenta over here, or there can be extension from up to low. So anytime if the placenta is encroaching the lower uterine segment, it is developing in the lower uterine segment, it is covering the lower uterine segment, the internal os, the cervical os, it is called as placenta previa. Now what is lower uterine segment? As we all know, lower uterine segment is formed from isthmus. Isthmus is the junction between the body of the uterus and the cervix. So at the level of internal os, it is about just 5 millimeter in size. 5 millimeter, not even a centimeter. It is half of a centimeter, 0.5 centimeter, and it is so small, it expands up to 20 times, means it becomes about 10 centimeter in labor. It forms lower uterine segment. So this segment is formed in labor, advancing gestation. So this isthmus forms a lower uterine segment. It is 0.5 centimeter and it expands to 10 centimeter. Isthmus is the junction between these two parts, body of the uterus and internal and the cervix. So it is lined, upper part is the anatomical os and the lower part is the histological os. So this junction is called as isthmus. Okay, so when the placenta is in the lower uterine segment, it is covering the os, which can be completely, which can be partially. It is called as placenta previa. Now, what are the theories of placenta previa? That why in few patients we find that placenta is in the lower uterine segment or it is encroaching the internal os. So one theory is dropping down theory. So dropping down theory suggests that because that suppose the ova has entered inside and the fertilized ova, it did not find a good decidual reaction. Decidua is the innermost lining of the uterus, which means the endometrium in pregnancy is called as decidua, and the changes which are occurring in this endometrium are called as decidual reactions. So if this fertilized ovum which has entered into the uterine cavity for the purpose of implantation, it did not get a good decidual reaction in the upper segment, so it drops down and comes down, and the implantation takes place in the lower segment. So in that condition, there can be one possibility that placenta starts growing over there. Second is zona pellucida disappearance, that there is failure of this disappearance. It should ideally takes place and blastocyst formation takes place. Zona disappears and the ovum adheres to the decidua in the fundal region. But many a time this can happen that zona fail to disappear. The outermost this layer fails to disappear, as a result of which the adhesion cannot take place in upper segment and it comes down. So this can result in the formation of a placenta in the lower part of the uterus. So this is dropping down theory. One is poor decidual reaction in the upper segment. Second, failure of zona disappearance. Now second theory which has been come forward is persistence of chorionic activity. We have all seen that this is the part which is going in which the implantation takes place. That area of endometrium, that area of decidua is called as decidua basalis. So in this base part only the chorionic activity should be present, only in this base part where the which is in contact the part of the decidua which is in contact with the embedded fertilized egg, that is the blastocyst. So that should be here, chorionic activity should take place, that is the basalis. But and this part which is away from it is the capsularis, and this part is decidua vera or decidua paritalis, and this is the endometrial cavity. We all know this endometrial cavity will obliterate because decidua capsularis and decidua paritalis, they fuse with one another and the entire embryo will grow over here. So the activity of the chorionic will take place only at decidua basalis, but in many cases the chorionic activity take place at other places also. So if say decidua capsularis which is away from basalis, so in that case there will be placental migration or placental development in the lower part also. So persistence of chorionic activity in the decidua capsularis which is away from the basalis. So it is away, it is over the lower part. So there will be formation of placenta in the lower part. Then defective decidua means there is spreading of the chorionic villi in other places also. Suppose if now the activity is going down, it is not only confined to upper segment, it is coming down. So we will find placenta reaching the lower part of the uterus also, and there can be defective decidua or spreading of chorionic villi is seen. Suppose there is anoxic environment inside, as seen in if a female is smoking, it is seen that because of hypoxic environment, because of increased carbon monoxide in the body, there are chances that placenta is not getting adequate, it needs further nutrition from other part also. So it is coming downwards also. It is in the activity of the chorionic villi may come till the lower segment. So the placenta is developed, it can lead to a large placenta and encroaching the lower part. Then big surface area, as in seen in the case of multiple pregnancy, twins, triplet, etc. or a big size baby. Bigger is the baby, bigger will be the placenta. So though it is implanted in the upper segment, but because it is big, it comes down also. Some part of it reaches the lower part also. So these are the different theories. One is dripping down theory, other is persistence of chorionic activity. That is, the chorionic villi are seen, their activity is seen in decidua capsularis also. Ideally it should not be there. Ideally it should only be basalis, but now we are finding their activity in capsularis also. Then defective decidua means there is spreading of the chorionic villi. And fourth is a big surface. Now talking about what are the risk factors. So in risk factors, it is more commonly seen in the females of age group more than 35 years. Then you have got multiparous, previous cesarean, any scar on the uterus, any fibroid, if any surgery has been done to remove the fibroid, which is called as myomectomy, or any incision is given on the uterus, such as in cases of hysterectomy, any cesarean section has been done. So they are favorable places for the implantation of implantation and development of placenta. So these basically scars are like in previous cesarean, it is in the lower segment. So chances, if implantation is taking on it, chances are that it will be in the lower segment only. So placental size, a big size placenta again is a risk factor. Abnormalities of the placenta, accentuate lobe, filamentous insertion of the cord, membranous. So these are the different abnormalities in which we find a lobe, an extra lobe lying in the lower uterine segment. So they can result into they can be one of the risk factor for placenta previa. Then smoking, as I told you, there is a hypoxic environment because of carbon monoxide, and it can result in a bigger size of placenta or persistent chorionic activity. Prior curettage, which may be done because of multiple abortions. So we are scraping the endometrial cavity. So this can result in improper implantation or implantation in the lower segment and formation of placenta over there. Now talking about the different types and degrees of placenta previa. So first type of placenta, there are 4 types of it. First is low lying, that is the lower margin of the placenta is just reaching that is in the lower segment. It is away from the internal os. It has nothing to do with the internal os. It is just in the lower uterine segment. Ideally it should be in the upper part of the body. It should be in the body of the uterus, but only it is lying low in the low segment, away from the internal os. Second type is marginal. That is the margin of the placenta, lower margin of the placenta is reaching the internal os. It is not covering it. It is just reaching the internal os. Third type is incomplete or partial, in which the placenta previa is, in this type, the placenta is on the internal os but almost covering half of it, or when the cervical os opens, we find that it has not covered completely the os. And the fourth type is covering entirely. Even if the cervix dilates, we find that the entire area, we don't find the baby, it's only placenta and it's only placental tissue. So it is covering the internal os completely. So in first, there is nothing doing with the internal os. It is only in the lower segment. Here only it is touching the internal os. Here it is partially covering the internal os. Here it is completely covering the internal os. So these are the 4 types of placenta previa, and accordingly we have graded them into mild degree and major degree. So in mild degree, what you find, that is type 1, means khali lower segment pe aaya. Type 2A, A is for anterior. Major degree is type 2, type 2 posterior, type 3 and type 4. तो यहाँ पर तो internal os को partially or completely it is covering. Now why type 2 posterior? Means it is just touching the internal os, and I have it has been grouped under major degree. So why major degree? Because type 2 posterior is a dangerous placenta previa. Why we call type 2 posterior as a dangerous one? Because one thing is, we know that this is a sacral promontory. This is the sacral promontory and the coccyx. This is the spine, sacral area, and this is the pubic symphysis. So anteriorly we know we have got space. If suppose anything is there anteriorly, it will expand, but posteriorly there is a bony restriction. So if a placenta is in the posterior part above the bone, it will be definitely above the spinal part, okay, above the bone. So near about the thickness is 2.5 centimeter. So what we find that the anterior posterior diameter is reduced because we cannot, this here is a placenta, if it is anteriorly, bony part is not, it is at a small place. Here we have got the entire bone, throughout the length we have got bone. So anteriorly, because lack of the bony part, only pubic symphysis, that part is bony, rest is all soft tissue. So anterior placenta previa, if it is there are less chances that it is going to produce compression or decrease the AP diameter. But posterior placenta previa, the bone is in the entire length, so it will reduce the anterior posterior diameter. One thing is this. So if the diameter is less, the head, the presenting part which has to come down, what will happen? अगर उसको diameter ही नहीं मिलेगा, it is not going to come down. So engagement, fixing, coming down into the cavity won't be possible. It will keep on, it will be above it, above the pelvic brim. It will remain high up. So engagement is not possible. So head will keep on, even if the labor starts, because the diameter is not enough to allow the head to descend down. So one thing is that the head keeps on free floating above the pelvic brim. So engagement is not possible. Second thing, suppose if engagement occurs also, because what will happen, this will compress, placenta will compress. Placenta is important tissue which is giving the nutrition to the baby. So the supply to the baby will be hampered. It can result into head the compressions and hypoxia and intrauterine death. Also, if engagement is not occurring, so the umbilical cord is free, there are chances of cord prolapse and cord compression. So all these things are making this placenta very dangerous. Second thing, if compression, suppose, how do we know that yes, placenta is, there is bleeding is occurring? We know compression should be there. If we get a trauma on the finger, we press it, so we need some pressure to stop the bleeding. So here also, if there is bleeding because of placenta previa and presenting part stops, it comes and stops, it compresses, but because of the shortness of diameter, many a times, as I told you, engagement is not possible. The head cannot come down, so it keeps on bleeding also. The sinuses remain open. So the mechanism of compression many a times is not possible if the diameter does not allow engagement. So there is more of bleeding, there are less chances of engagement, there are more chances of cord coming down, the umbilical cord, which is called as cord prolapse, or compression of the cord, and ultimately asphyxia and intrauterine death. So these are the different types of placenta previa and different degrees of placenta previa. Okay, so in the next class we are going to talk about the causes of bleeding and the clinical features and complications of antepartum hemorrhage. Thank you.